Saw a statistic just recently that age 19 to 27 girls, survey said 40% of them declare themselves LGBTQ. It's social norming is what's happening. You got to do what I do as a shrink. You got to get inside their heads. You got to say, okay, wait a minute. Let's see how this is coming about. What are you watching? Who are you talking to? Why do you think this? What's going on? What is happening is my profession is leading the charge and is basically saying anytime a kid declares this, it's automatic. They're automatically, innately gender confused. That is not so. We're not looking at all the factors involved, and they're huge, by the way. Any phenomenon in psychology where you have 40% of somebody saying, I'm this, that's never been said before, psychologists would immediately go, we got to explore this. We got to find out what's going on. They're totally keeping their hands off. So as parents, and I get this from all kinds of parents. Now, 20 years ago, none. Now it's in the top 5 of the referrals I get. So as parents, get inside the head, find out what's going on, find out who they're hanging with. Girls are especially social media maneuvered. So get inside it, find out. There's a lot there.
No one else is touching that one?
Well, we have this present in my extended family. And the one thing that, just to echo something that Dr. Ray just said, is especially for girls, do not underestimate the power of social media. They thought that they had a handle on their daughter, and because the computer was in a public place, but here she was chatting, it was just talking on social media with a whole other community of people. And I think that we have to recognize as parents that it's not like your child is sitting there and then this is coming out from inside of them. No, these communities are targeting your children. These communities are actively seeking out your children to get their talons in them and draw them into that community.
And earlier the better.
Exactly.
Kindergarten.
Exactly. And so those are the kinds of things that we need to be aware of. And as Father was saying in his talk about the TV and the computer, and if that person came to your door, I mean, I am constantly challenged in keeping track of the technology within my home, because more often than not, these phenomenons are happening, not even necessarily, sometimes it is physical people they're hanging out with, but more often than not, it's online influences, and we have to be so vigilant in regards to that.
You know, I'll just add a little bit. And the way you asked a question about what to do with a child, I think it depends on the child, the age. Social media certainly is a big factor here. The incidence of particularly young men who are somewhat autistic or on that spectrum, it's very high. What's going on there is, I think, connected to the more general phenomenon. Those who are struggling with that kind of I'm talking about autism here, often feel disconnected to their physicality, right? And Ian McGilchrist is a physician and literature professor who wrote this book, The Master and His Emissary, about left and right brain functions. Were becoming more and more dominated by what's really sort of the emissary and not the master, which is our left brain functions. And that's being nurtured through the screen and the tools of technology. This is an ancient problem, actually, a kind of dualism between the mind and the body. And when I've engaged in conversation with people who are struggling with gender dysphoria, I have made the point that we cannot actually be happy, you cannot flourish except as the sort of being that you are. Well, what kind of beings are we? We're unities of mind and body. In fact, St. Thomas Aquinas goes so far as to say that you are your body, okay? That's dependent upon a certain understanding of what the soul is and what the body is. The body is that which is vivified or made alive by the soul. So we're what a philosopher would call a psychosomatic unity. But in this day and age, we're living lives as though we are just minds, and we can zap our minds into different destinations in the virtual world. You can take on a whole identity and project yourself into an elaborate video game series, right? So this is where, when Father was talking about that farm, this is a way to connect people to their bodies. And at a very basic level, as parents, you need to be finding ways to get your kids involved in manual labor and using their hands, fixing things. Give them projects that are difficult. Teach them how to use tools. They need to learn with their hands. That's a particular way of learning, and I'm convinced that actually will be a bulwark against the kind of transgender confusion that tends to erupt a little bit later in life, in the mid-teen years, or has been of late.
I'll just add a few things. Number one, it's not really a shameless plug because it's free. There's a podcast that I did this year on this very topic. So if you yourself are very interested in learning about gender ideology, about the church's teaching about the human person as a psychosomatic unity, and how all that ties together with the question, can a person be born in the wrong body? It's a short 15-minute video, but I think it'll be helpful to you. So A Reason for Hope podcast, can a person be born in the wrong body? But you're not going to assault your young person with why gender ideology is wrong. So that's not going to be your approach. You're not going to go into a battle that's an intellectual one. Because what's really going on, they're just trying to figure out who they are. And that's an old question, right? Who am I? What am I? And they're being inundated by all kinds of confusing messages as answers to that question. And so what I would say is that we need to be strong, but gently strong, because this is a very tender question, and these are often at very tender ages. And so we need to know our stuff, but not so we can get into a intellectual debate, so that we have our own backing, that we can kind of share with them the vision of who they are, that our faith gives us, and even sound philosophy gives us, that we can share with them the glory of that. And the other thing I just add, and this is a subtle little aside, but make a decision that I am never going to lie to my children about who they are. So often you feel this pressure that you have to change your language, you've got to kind of call them by their new name, whatever the case may be. You get a lot of different stuff in that regard. And the only thing that I would say is that you can't deny the truth. And so you have to find a way to do that in a gentle way. And sometimes you just have to say, look, I can't lie to you, so I can't say that you're this, because you're not. But I love you.
So
and
my wife
there's a
can't
way to
say
do
I'm
that.
sweet. She says I can't lie to you.
Well, she
Okay.
can't lie. She can't lie to
She
you.
can't lie to me, yeah.
Yeah, she can't lie to you. Does she tell you you're
No,
sweet?
No, she says I can't tell you you're sweet. I can't lie to you.
No, she's a
Yeah,
good woman.
it
She's a
hurts,
good woman.
Hurts.
But
I'm
we've
sorry.
met you, so we understand that, right?
Yes, she's a good woman. So if that's helpful, I think it's interesting. Jason Everett talks about maybe a middle road you can craft if this is really an obstacle. Can we agree on a name that's not gendered, a nickname that I can call you while you're kind of struggling with whatever it is, so that we can kind of meet in the middle, and then I can do something that's in conscience. But the fact of the matter is that I just think you have to say, I'm sorry, this is who you are. And it's beautiful, actually.